You ever get that gut feeling something's just off? Like you're walking into a room and you can feel the tension even before you see her face. You might not know what, but your instincts are practically screaming, something's changed. And guess what? They're probably right. You see, people are way better at picking up subtle changes than we give ourselves credit for. These aren't just random vibes. You're sensing real shifts in her behavior. So buckle up, because what you're about to discover are signs so subtle they'd make Sherlock Holmes sweat. We're talking about those nearly invisible cues she's giving off. She might think she's hiding her feelings, but trust me, there are tells. These clues can be in a look, a pause, the slightest change in the way she talks. And once you know what to watch for, you'll start to see it all around you. Sign number 1. The texting energy dies faster than a dropped phone. Remember when your conversations used to flow effortlessly? You'd send a message, and within minutes you'd have a reply so long it felt like a mini essay. Every notification would make your heart race with excitement. But lately, something's different. The playful energy that once filled your texts is gone. Instead, you're met with short, robotic replies that barely keep the conversation alive. Instead of, "Wow, my day was insane. Let me tell you about it," you get the dreaded one-word response, "Fine," or worse, the dreaded K. Suddenly, emojis and exclamation marks are extinct. Conversations that used to bounce back and forth like a ping-pong match are now slower than dial-up internet. What does this mean? Well, here's why this is a massive deal. When someone is genuinely interested, they put effort into their communication. They're eager to share their life with you and crave to know what's going on in yours. But when interest fades, that drive to communicate vanishes. The spark in your chats fizzles out because she no longer feels that emotional connection. Ask yourself this: are you always the one keeping the conversation alive? If so, it's time to acknowledge that her priorities might be shifting. If someone is genuinely invested in you, communication won't feel like pulling teeth. It will feel natural, easy, and even thrilling. Sign number 2. She's suddenly busier than a CEO with 3 companies. Remember when she used to make time for you? When even the busiest day wouldn't stop her from squeezing in a coffee date or a quick call? Well, if she's suddenly too busy to even respond, that's not a busy schedule. It's a classic case of emotional avoidance. You'll hear excuses like, "Sorry, I've just been swamped," or "I'll let you know when I'm free." Spoiler alert, she rarely follows up. Now, let's get this straight. People do get busy. Life happens. But if her packed calendar suddenly appears out of nowhere, you've got to wonder if she's really swamped, or if she's choosing to be. You might find her bailing on plans more often or forgetting the dates you had marked on the calendar. Even the simplest plans, like grabbing lunch, turn into Herculean tasks. Here's why this matters. When someone wants you in their life, they make time for you, period. Even during a busy week, they'll find ways to fit you into their world. But if she's cancelling repeatedly or coming up with vague excuses, she's likely avoiding emotional investment. Her newfound busyness is more about avoiding than being genuinely occupied. And think about it. People prioritize what they value. If she's not prioritizing you anymore, it's time to accept that her interest may have taken a nosedive. Sign number 3. She stops sharing personal stuff. Gone are the days when she'd open up about her deepest thoughts and wildest dreams. You used to know everything about her childhood memories, her secret fears, her career aspirations. But now, conversations have turned cold, distant, and painfully surface level. Instead of confiding in you, she keeps things generic, like discussing the weather or the latest Netflix release. When she's emotionally invested, she'll share intimate details because she trusts you. But if she's withdrawing, That's a clear psychological sign she's putting up walls. And it's not just about what she says. Pay attention to what she doesn't say. If major events happen in her life and you hear about them secondhand, or worse, not at all, that's a red flag the size of a skyscraper. She's pulling away emotionally, which often indicates she's already halfway out the door. Why does this matter so much? Because vulnerability is a key component of connection. Sharing fears, dreams, and worries with someone is what brings people closer together. If she's closing herself off, she's probably trying to minimize her emotional attachment, or perhaps she's opened up to someone else. Sign number 4, her body language screams disinterest. Body language, the silent communicator. You can say 1,000 words with your mouth, but your body never lies. If you notice she's crossing her arms, leaning away from you, or avoiding eye contact, you've got a problem. Remember when she used to playfully touch your arm or lean in when you spoke? If those gestures have disappeared, that's a psychological shift you can't ignore. Does she check her phone more often when she's with you? Is she fidgeting or looking at the exit like she can't wait to leave? These aren't just bad habits. They're signs of discomfort and detachment. Even the way she positions herself can reveal volumes. If she's physically turned away from you or placing objects, like a bag or her arms, between you two, she's subconsciously creating a barrier. Humans are wired to mirror the body language of people they like. If she's no longer mirroring your movements or leaning in when you talk, that's a big clue her feelings have changed. Here's why this is crucial. Body language often tells the truth our words are too polite to express. If her body language is closed off, chances are her emotions are too. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's one worth acknowledging. Sign number 5. She gets irritable or starts nitpicking over little things. You used to be able to do no wrong. Even your flaws seemed endearing. But now, the way you chew, breathe, or even exist feels like an offense. If she's suddenly hypercritical, it could be a subconscious way of pushing you away. People are generally more forgiving of quirks and imperfections when they're emotionally invested. But when they lose interest, patience wears thin. It's almost as if she's looking for reasons to be annoyed with you. You might hear sarcastic comments or passive-aggressive remarks. What once would have been brushed off with a laugh is now an irritating flaw she can't ignore. Why is this a psychological sign worth noting? Because nitpicking often comes from underlying frustration. Instead of admitting she's losing interest, it's easier to find fault with you. Her irritation isn't about you chewing too loudly. It's about the emotional distance she feels. It's a way of justifying her detachment. Sign number 6. You feel like you're always the one initiating. Ever feel like you're carrying the entire relationship on your back? If you're always the one making plans, initiating conversations, or reaching out, that's not just tiring. It's telling. Relationships are meant to be a two-way street. If she used to text you good morning or suggest weekend plans and has stopped, it might be because she's no longer invested. Think of it this way. Relationships thrive on mutual effort. When someone cares, they're eager to be involved. They'll text first, call you out of the blue, or get excited about your next adventure together. But when you feel like you're begging for attention or fighting to keep things alive, that's a sign things have shifted. Why should this hit home for you? Because when you're the only one trying, it's not a relationship anymore. It's a solo act. The person who truly cares will meet you halfway, or better yet, make you feel cherished and wanted. Sign number 7. She stops making future plans with you. Remember when she used to dream about the future with you, talking about holidays, vacations, or even what to watch next week? If those plans have vanished, or if she deflects conversations about the future, she's not envisioning you in hers anymore. The long-term us has been quietly replaced with a solo me. Maybe she's stopped mentioning future trips you once discussed. Or when you talk about upcoming events, she suddenly becomes non-committal. The future is a massive indicator of emotional investment. If she's no longer excited about intertwining her life with yours, that's a massive red flag. Why does this one sting the most? Because discussing future plans means she saw you as a permanent fixture in her life. If she's mentally removing you from her plans, it's a strong sign her feelings have changed. So, there you have it. 7 signs wrapped in brutal, undeniable truths. The reality is, you can't force someone to stay interested, but recognizing these signs gives you the power to protect your heart and invest in people who truly value you. Don't ignore what your gut is telling you. Your instincts are sharper than you think. If she's showing these signs, it's time for an honest conversation or a tough decision.